Welcome students, I am Professor Nawab Ali Khan from the Department of Commerce, Aligarh Muslim University, Aligarh. This is the 7th week of management concepts. In this week, we will take into consideration some of the important functions of management. We are starting with the planning. Planning is the first important function of management. During this week, students, our syllabus will be purpose of planning, how do managers plan, we will see the planning and performance, we will see the criticism of planning, approaches in goal setting, traditional MBO, and also the steps in goal setting will be covered along with the levels of planning and the different types of plans. Students, the contents in this week would be a number of aspects relating to the planning. I have tried to take into consideration almost all the aspects of planning with this view that you are able to understand the basic function of management in its proper sense, because the foundation of the management of any organization lies on planning. So with this view, the contents of this week would be the concept of planning, significance and purpose will be seen. We will see the process of planning, criticism of planning, planning and performance, goal setting, process of goal setting, and we will see the key features of the traditional goal setting. We will also have a look at the different advantages and disadvantages of the traditional goal setting approach. Students, we will also cover management by objectives, that is the MBO. We will also look at the related advantages and disadvantages of the MBO. Levels of planning and the types of planning will also be covered in this week. Students, the objectives of this course is to study the concept of planning as a function of management. Another objective of this subject, this planning, is to study the different types of planning, its tools and techniques. We will be able to learn the concept of goal setting. This is the important objective of learning the planning, and also to study the meaning and purpose of management by objectives, that is the MBO. Students, you will be able to explain the different planning processes and tools used for planning after completing this week. Let us start our discussion about the planning. Students, planning, also called forethought, is the process of thinking about and organizing the activities required to achieve a desired goal. Students, without plan, there will be totally darkness in the system, in the organization, and the planning is a process by means of which we go ahead. Because planning is something which tells us to move ahead or go ahead in the organization. It is the fundamental function of management, which involves deciding in advance, or you can say deciding beforehand, what is to be done, when it is to be done, how it is to be done, and who is going to do this. Friends, planning is a blueprint of the course of action to be followed in future, and we can call it as it is a kind of intellectual process that lays down an organization's objectives and develops various courses of action by which the organization can achieve those objectives. It chalks out exactly how to attain a specific goal. In other words, or in simple words, you can say that planning bridges the gap between where we are standing today and where we want to reach in future. Students, planning involves a number of things. It involves basically selecting missions and objectives and the various actions to achieve them, and it requires decision making, which is about choosing from among the alternatives future courses of action. Students, the planning is a function which is a very comprehensive function of management, wherein we find that we are not sure what direction we will reach at the end of the job. at the end of at the end of the day. So it is planning which fulfills our goal, that this is our destination and we will reach to this destination. What kind of steps we will be taking up? All these things are part of the planning. So planning, students, I think you can understand now. It's deciding in advance what to do, how to do, and who is to do. This is all very important aspect, and planning bridges the gap from where we are to where we want to go. This is the very specific definition of planning given by Kuntz O'Donnell, who has done a lot of work in the field of management, and this is a rightly defined purpose or the meaning of the planning. Students, Theo Heman is another expert who has defined planning in just one line. What he says, that planning is the function that determines in advance what should be done. And another important name in the field of management is the name of Henry Fayol. Yes, friends, Henry Fayol is a very big name in the field of management. He has given the 14 principles of management. According to Henry Fayol, planning is deciding the best alternative among others to perform different managerial operations in order to achieve the predetermined goals, which simply means that he is also of the same views, that it is a kind of activity by means of which we foresee, we plan what we are going to do in future. Its friends, Lewis A. Allen has also defined planning in very simple language. He says, management planning involves the development of forecasts, objectives, policies, programs, procedures, schedules, and the budget. In short, it will not be wrong to say that the planning process is a process wherein everything is decided in advance for future. Students, I will quote a few more definitions given by some experts in the field, and according to them, if you don't have any, or if you do not have daily objectives, you qualify as a dreamer. It is by Zig Ziglar. Very rightly, he has pointed out that if we don't plan, if we don't have anything to fulfill, so there is no difference between us and between a dream merchant. Planning is a reality. It's not something which we dream about, because it is not only that we plan, its execution is also very important. And it is the execution which makes things possible. Planning, students, according to Amy Horley, is also about deciding in advance what is to be done. And he says that it involves the selection of objectives, policies, procedures, and programs from the alternatives. What he says, that some best options are to be chosen from out of several. So here, the objectives, policies, procedures, and programs are there. So what best is there, that is to be chosen, and that is just a kind of process of deciding in advance before it is done. It is decided that what we are going to do. We have to choose the best option. Students, Allen is another name. Allen says simply that planning is a trap let down to capture the future. In fact, what he has nicely pointed out, that is what is, because future is unforeseen, but we make some predictions, and invariably it happens that the predictions come true. So, students, planning is a trap let down to capture the future is a very specific definition of planning given by Allen. Students, Basil S. Walsh has also given another definition of planning. He says, if you do not know where you are going, how can you expect to get there? In order to reach to your destination, we must know the place where we have to go. We can reach to our destination only when we know the place where we have to go. So it is the planning which tells us that that is your destination. That is the place you have to reach. And if we do not plan, it means we will be having some kind of haziness in our direction. Our route will not be clear. Our aim will not be clear. Our destination will be unseen actually. So we have to explore something which is not explored in the past. So it is planning which makes things explored in such a way that we are able to achieve the goals of organization. Organization, students, come into existence to achieve certain goals. And these goals can be achieved only when these are planned properly. Students, the next part of this discussion is about the three important things. That is the nature, importance, and the purpose of planning. Students, one thing is there that I want to tell you in the beginning, that planning is the most basic form of all management functions. I can tell you here that all other functions of management are closely dependent on planning, because in our day-to-day life, if you take every day, we all make some plan. We have 24 hours at our disposal every day, and we plan these 24 hours in such a way that we are attaining the goal of that day. We are able to find good things out of that day, because a day loss is a loss. Similarly, everyone uses planning. Everyone plans in our day-to-day life. We plan all activities. And I tell you that those people who do not plan, they fail. We plan basically to execute our official work. We plan to improvise the career, and we plan our investment. This is for business point of view. For personal point of view also, every day some planning is done by us, and if we do not plan our day, it means our day is lost and we are not going to take it back. It is a kind of investment, or what you call wastage of resources. It all depends upon how best we plan and execute it. So students, the planning is a kind of pervasive function. That's why we call it pervasive function, because it involves defining the organization's goals, establishing strategies for achieving those goals, and developing plans to integrate and coordinate different kinds of activities. Students, the success of every organization depends upon certain steps it takes. In organizational system, before something is started and it reaches to the success level, a number of issues are there, a number of considerations are there that we have to think seriously. Then only we will be able to reach to the highest stair of success. So the basic step of success is the start. When we think, we analyze, we plan, we try, we do it again, and we keep on doing, and then finally we reach to our destination, that is a success. Students, the main destination for all planning lies in achieving goals. Achieving goals means achieving success in our mission. So planning basically is a mission, actually, students. So now, in the light of this brief introduction of the basic concept of planning, now we are going to have a look at the nature of planning. Students, planning has a number of things which you need to understand before we go further into the practical aspects of planning. Students, the first thing that I already mentioned, that is the planning's pervasiveness of the planning. It is something which is not confined to one or two places or one or two levels. Planning occurs, students, at all levels of management. It occurs irrespective of the level of management. Every manager, it has a planning function to perform. You can see in this picture, in this chart, where you find that there are three categories of management. That is the first line managers, to the middle level managers, and the top level managers. And you see, there are different people who are reporting to their different bosses. But see, this pervasiveness of planning can be indicated from this fact that the general manager is, for example, there. General manager has under supervision all the people. You can see supply chain manager, who is at the top level. Finance manager is at the top level. Commercial manager is on the top level. The middle layer of the management lies in the logistic, production, sales, and marketing. These are the four core functions which are required in every organization. And students, here all these four middle level managers have under their control, under their supervision, different kinds of people who are held accountable for the task given to them. For example, take the case of the logistic manager. The logistic manager will guide to warehouse supervisors and also to distribution supervisors. The warehouse supervisors and the distribution supervisors are directly accountable or they are responsible to the logistic manager. And the logistic manager is responsible to the supply chain manager. And the supply chain manager is accountable to the general manager. Look at the finance manager. Students, the finance manager has a direct connection with the finance supervisor. Finance supervisor is directly accountable to the finance manager and finance manager is accountable to the general manager. This is the hierarchy. And last thing, students, because I am telling you about the pervasiveness of the planning at different levels in organization. See, the commercial manager has under him two middle level managers, namely the sales manager and the marketing manager. These sales manager and marketing managers have their own team. The sales manager will be reported by the sales supervisor and the marketing supervisors will report to the marketing supervisor. So students, you can say now that marketing is also done through planning and finance is also done through planning. Production, distribution, warehousing, all is done through planning and everybody has a role to play. Every manager, you can see, has a planning function to perform in the organization. It's the second important thing. Second important thing is this is about the nature of the planning. It says that the students, planning is primary in nature because the other functions of management, other functions of organization are preceded by they come after this. It precedes other functions of an organization. You see, without planning, other functions of organizations becomes meaningless. There is no use, there is no future, there is no possibility that the other functions of organization will be perfect in order as required. Friends, planning is something which you can call as a never-ending activity. It is a kind of infinite activity. It is a continuous in nature. This is the most important part, which doesn't mean that suppose today some planning is done and this is the one-time planning for organization. Depending upon the necessity, depending upon the need, the process remains continued. The process does not stop. So students, planning involves continuous assessment and reassessment of the resources, directions, opportunities and problems of the organizations while converting them to achieve the goals. You can see this picture here. You find here that the road is infinite. It is not showing an end. It is going on. And it is going as long as it can. So similarly planning is also similar to this road, which is a kind of activity which doesn't end. It will end only when the organization will end. When the business will be end, planning will be ended. But as long as the business is going on, the planning process will continue to go on. And also students, a very important thing which you can understand with this picture. This picture shows the nature of planning, which is just not rigid. It is flexible, moving from one side to another side. Very easily you can do this. Because we all know one thing, that future is unforeseen. Future is not predictable. Thus, planning must provide enough room for future changes in the market. Market remains changing. Future, as mentioned, is unpredictable. There must be some scope to make adjustments. So planning is done. Planning is that process which provides flexibility in the system. It makes things simple, easy, not rigid. Students, one important thing which you can see from this picture is that there is an aim that person is taking. That is the goal. Planning provides guidelines for attaining the goals. It is carried out to attain the objectives of the organization. It is a goal-oriented activity, which means that it is not something which is done in a hazy way. Planning is not done for the purpose of just misuse of the resources. Planning is done to ensure that the desired goals of the organization are achieved. Students, you know that in organization you will find a number of people will be working. Individuals will be working. Individuals have their own goals. Organizations have their own goals. The main motive of planning activity is that the goals of individuals and the goals of organization should not be two. They should be merged with each other in such a way that the organization has no difficulty in understanding the problems. Organization is not having any kind of difficulty to reach to the final destination. Students, if you look at these gears, you find that the planning is a process of integration. It's an integrated process, students. It integrates the plans and actions of a manager. One thing is very important to tell you, that the plans are interrelated. Plans are independent. And also at the same time, plans are mutually supportive, because the plans are structured in a logical way, so that every lower level plan serves as a means to accomplish the higher level plans. It means that the planning which is done at a lower level does not remain confined to the lower level only. It is a kind of process which is integrated with each other. So it serves as a means to accomplish the high level plans also, students. And also, students, one thing again I tell you, that is the planning is a process which is something which is concerned with future. Planning is done because of one reason, that future is unpredictable. Future is not seen. Planning attempts to peep into the future, analyzes it, and prepares for it. Students, one thing you should understand here, finally, about the planning is that without planning, business becomes random in nature. So that's why we call it as forward-looking activity. Planning, students, is a forward-looking activity for the business, and you can see this picture shows that we have to see bigger. It's just like the side mirror of a car, where it is very clearly written that the objects which appear far are very close, which means objects appear to be far, but these are near. But in business, one has to see the object. The process of organization will become successful if we just see far away, beyond the point. We should have a big screen. We should should magnify the things, because If we see what is the possibility for future, then only we will be able to manage the affairs of the organization in a very systematic way, students. Students, planning is an intellectual process. Planning is not done by any Tom, Dick and Harry. Planning is done by those who are intellectual. Intellectuals, everybody is not intellectuals. It involves brain activity. So, that is why the new and new ideas come out. When two minds meet, they bring something new. They make some creation. There arises the creativity. And then, we will be able to reach to our goals. Our main purpose is to reach to our goals. And that is not, in fact, a very difficult proposition. It's something very easily understandable part, actually, I tell you. Yes, friends, you know the difference between the myths and the facts? Planning is a factual process. Because the planning is not based on some myths. It is based on facts. It is based on realities. It is based on some predictions and the past experiences. We see the past performance and we predict on that basis the future. In fact, it's not a kind of process which is just as simple as we can think of. It's a very important process. It is a process of predictions and the past experiences. Then only, if we use predictions and past experiences, then only we will be able to plan properly. Otherwise, we will be in dark. We will not be having any idea of the past. So we take the past as our base and then we go ahead. And friends, a very important thing which is about the planning is that planning lays the basis for us to assess and evaluate our achievements efficiently and effectively. That's why we call planning an effective and efficient process. Yes, friends, I want to tell you that in every organization, we have resources. We have resources like the people, time, money, information, equipment, and so on. Planning helps us to be accountable for what we do, and I tell you that it helps us to decide how best to use our resources, that is the people, time, money, information, equipment, etc. Why we do this, friends? We do this so that they make the most significant contribution to achieving our goals. And of course, again, I want to tell you that the planning is that process which makes it possible for the organizations to assess and evaluate the achievements efficiently and effectively. Then only they will be able to reach to their destination. So, these were some of the important steps, these were some important aspects which were related to the planning. And you have seen that planning is a kind of comprehensive activity involving a number of important things to it.